I'm a visitor here today, but if you would take me around town later today, I asked you a lot of really irritating questions about what belongs to who lives there, and who lived there before that, who owns that place, who does own the Corn Palace. Maybe you're here today. You could probably tell me. The longer you live somewhere, the better you know whose is what. And in a small town, everyone knows whose is what and whose grandfather's was what. The idea that your own matters and that you will have it finally is behind the fact that Jesus is the Good Shepherd. He doesn't say that, I'm going to go take something that's someone else's. He doesn't say that he wants something that is something else's and he's going to have it. He says it is his own. You heard it even long before his birth in the prophet Ezekiel. He says, I myself, did you hear that? I myself will do it. It is mine and I will do it. You have to keep this in mind when you look, as we will this morning, not only at yourself, but also at others, those who are not yet of this fold or who are far away from it, who are straying, lost, the broken and the wounded, as the prophet has it. When you look at people, you have to remember that Jesus has said they are his. The Good Shepherd will have what is his. People don't maybe know that. Maybe they are like me, a visitor, or they're not sure whose they are. So they belong to all manner of other lords and all manner of other shepherds. They have other allegiances and they have other loves. They're not sure what their life is for. They may not know Christ at all, or they knew him once and they forgot him. They belong to some kind of lord, some kind of shepherd, who is what Jesus calls a hired hand. And if you're just a visitor to the town, you may not know the difference between the good shepherd and the hired hand. They both look like they're working with sheep. They both look like they drive sheep certain places and feed sheep certain things and put sheep certain places at the end of the day and take them out again in the morning. If you don't live there, maybe you don't know whose these actually are. And some people are so uncertain and so unsure and so far away from Christ that they've never known whose they actually are. They do not know who has claimed them, whose blood was spilled for them, who rose again on the third day for their life. They don't know any of that. But it goes this way, whether you once knew him or whether you know him now or whether you never knew him. It goes this way when trouble comes, when the wolf comes looking for the sheep. And notice that Jesus knows there are things powerful, more powerful than we sheep are, looking for us. Not speaking of a wolf, but of a lion. Peter speaks this way about Satan in his first letter. He says, like a lion looking for someone to devour. But let's stick with the wolf. And he comes, and when the shepherd over your life, whatever that is, whatever is guiding you and leading you, you are sacrificing time and maybe money, your heart and your energy for it, that shepherd that takes you out in the morning and puts you back in at nighttime, when that wolf comes, that so-called shepherd, that one who is actually a hired hand, somebody is paying him to be there. And when you're just getting paid to be there and trouble comes, you go in the opposite direction. Because you don't really care that much, and it's not really a big deal to you. It's not like they're your kids. It's not like they're your sheep. So you go somewhere else. So it is with every hired hand. This is the disappointment that addicts feel when they realize that their addiction doesn't love them back. This is the sadness that people feel when Others that we're supposed to care about them and supposed to love them don't. This is the misery that you have when you realize that he drove away and he's not coming back again. Hired hands are always disappointed. Whether we worship them or we were supposed to love them or we trusted in them, when trouble comes, hired hands go away because we, the sheep, don't belong to them. And they know that, and they don't want to be put to too much trouble. So away they go. And now we are prey for wolves, prey for devourers, prey for things that are going to take us by storm and leave us bleeding. Jesus is the good shepherd. And what that means is that he's not really worried whether he's going to draw a paycheck from the business this week or this month, or maybe in a bad year, he won't even draw a paycheck the whole year. He's not in it with us or for us to get something from us. He doesn't need something from us, and he's not being paid to do this. When he came into the world, he received nothing that wasn't already his. Sure, people made meals for him and they cared for him, and Joseph and Mary gave him a home to live in, but he already said in Psalm 50 that the cattle on 1,000 hills are his. You actually can't go anywhere in the world and see mountains or hills or rivers or cattle or people whom he did not already make. They're already, by virtue of who he is forever, they're already all his. Already. He doesn't need any of it. So unlike bad bosses and addictions and hired hands, he doesn't need something from us. He doesn't need any of it. But he looks at all of it and he says, this is mine. He says, you are mine. That addict and that person who's never known Christ, those are mine. Those are all my creatures. Those are all mine. That's why when he sees the multitude gathered, as we do every Sunday in church, just before the feeding of the 5,000, he looks at them and he looks at them and he loves them and he's moved with compassion for them because he says, they are like sheep without a shepherd. Do you hear the sadness there? Sheep without a shepherd. They wander around the world, loving whatever and being disappointed, fearing whatever and being disappointed, trusting things that aren't worth the trust. They wander around the world with hired hands to tend for them. He looks at them and he loves them and he says, I myself will be their shepherd. I will come to them and I will love them. I will come to them and I will bring them out in the morning and I will feed them upon my word. I myself will come to them and I will bring them in the evening and keep them safe. Even on their deathbed, they are mine. That's a good shepherd. He doesn't care whether we produce a lot in a good year, how much, or whether we produce nothing in a bad year. We still belong to him. It's nothing to him whether we have wandered far away, even if there are 99 at home and one has wandered. He'll stay out all night and even into the next day if he needs to. He is untiring and relentless in claiming what is his because it is his by right. Blood-bought right. Everything he does, the kind of things that you say every Sunday in the Creed, are an expression of his blood-bought right to you, so that you may be his forever. The scourging and the nails and the mockery and the blasphemy and the blood and the dying and the rising, all of it is to make you his forever. Not only because he made you, but also because he has bought you back from the hired hands. You may have known that your whole life. Some of your family may not know that, though they once did. Maybe your neighbor next door never knew it. The right is blood bought. He is in deathly earnest. These are all his, and he will have them. You hear it when he says this. I have other sheep that are not of this fold. Now listen to this word. I must bring them also. His desire to find them and call them in by his word. He says they will hear what? They will hear my voice. His desire is strong. He doesn't look at them and think, oh, they never go to church anymore. Or he doesn't look at them and think they'd never go to church. He says, I must bring them also, and they will hear my voice. I must. What we think of as mission or evangelism, or even when it gets to a certain level, starting new churches, church planting is not a nice extra. It is a must. I must bring them also. And you hear his tenderness in the prophet Ezekiel. He will find the broken and he will heal them. And the wounded, he will put salve on their wounds. He will do everything that is necessary. I must, that they may hear my voice. Because he wants this to be true for them as it is for you. True for you from your first calling, true for you on your deathbed, true for you every day of your life, true for them too, that they would hear his voice. That they would know, like you do when you went home when you were a kid, your mother's voice and your father's voice calling you home. I know that sound. That's my dad. I'm his. It is his desire that you would know his voice truly, know his word, and that they would too. That from first to last, God willing, you would belong to him, dwelling in his house every day of your life and feeding upon his rich pasture that no hired hand can give and no hired hand has desired for you. Only the shepherd, only the good shepherd forever. Amen. Please rise for the prayer of the church.